Hey tea heads, this is Don from Mayleaf. In this video, I'm going to be introducing you to Sacred Owl. In this video, we're going to talk about this tea, I'm going to scope it with you, and then we're going to taste it. This video is going to go under the Single Tea Tastings playlist. If at any point in time you enjoy this video, please give the video the thumbs up. The more thumbs in the air, the more tea videos are going to come your way. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, then go click that button. Okay, so this is Sacred Owl. Let me give you a nice look of that. Focus on it. There you go. Beautiful illustration of an owl. This is a Mayleaf exclusive, and this is part of our elite tea collection. What that means is that occasionally we find tea that we think we can't stock in large quantities, but we're going to get a small amount in because it's an extraordinary tea or a very unusual tea. So this is available in very limited edition. The link to purchase this tea will be somewhere around this video. Okay, so let's scope this tea. Scope, for those that don't know, is what we use at Mayleaf to remind clients of the questions that they should ask whenever they're buying a tea. So scope stands for season, cultivar, origin, picking and processing, and elevation. So let's go through that. S, season. This is a spring-picked tea. So this is a spring-picked Pu-erh. It was picked in 2010. I'm speaking to you from London in November 2015. So this is 5 years old currently, but this is also a ripe Pu-erh, not a raw Pu-erh. C, cultivar. The cultivar for this is the classic cultivar for Pu-erh tea. It's the Assamica and it's Daye-jong. So the big leaf tea tree varietal, Assamica varietal, which is commonly used to make Pu-erh tea. Origin. This comes from Bada Mountain. Bada Mountain is South Yunnan, close to the Burmese border, inhabited mostly by tribal people like the Bulang and Hani tribes. South Yunnan, Yunnan has many different areas and different mountains, so this is very close to the borders of Burma. P, picking and processing. So this is a ripe Pu-erh. So for those that don't know, a ripe Pu-erh means that after the tea is picked and processed and sun-dried, they pile the tea in wet conditions to speed up the fermentation process. So this is a ripe Pu-erh. What's unique about this tea, and the reason why it's part of our elite tea collection, is that the material, the mao-cha, the raw tea that was used to make this ripe Pu-erh is quite unusual. This is from 1,000-year-old ancient arbor tea trees. So 1,000-year-old, I mean, most Gushu or ancient tea trees or old tea trees kind of started around 300 years old upwards. So to have tea that's 1,000-year-old is very, very rare. And to have a cooked tea or a ripe Pu-erh that's 1,000 years old is almost unheard of. And that's why we have it as part of our elite collection, because it's a very unusual thing to find Gushu material made into a ripe cake. The reason for that is the ripening process requires quite a lot of work, and so they reserve it usually for large quantities of leaves, not small quantities of leaves from ancient tea trees. So this is very unusual, and I spoke to the producer of this tea, and it was almost a little experiment on his part. The picking on this is larger leaves, so we don't have buds here. This is second and third leaves, and the reason for that is that it would be for 1,000-year-old tea trees, you would want to save the absolute tips of the tea pickings for your raw your sheng Pu-erh, your raw Pu-erh, because that would command a much higher price, and also, you know, you get all of the wonderful complexities of a raw Pu-erh from fresh all the way through to aging. So they've used the second and third leaves, but as you will see, really the age of the tea tree still shines through on this tea, and it's an amazing experience to drink. For those that don't know, the older the tea tree, the deeper the roots, It means that it can really reach mineral layers in the soil that other tea trees can't reach, and really brings a lot of minerality and goodness to the tea leaves. Also, because it's an older tea tree, it slows down its growth. So again, it has the tea leaves have plenty of time to build up a lot of nutrients and minerals. Finally, E stands for elevation. This is a very high grown tea. This is just under 2,000 meters. So high up, equivalent to some high altitude oolong teas in Taiwan. So it's high altitude, high elevation tea. Okay, so that's the scoping of Sacred Owl. Now I'm going to pull the camera around and we're going to take a look at those leaves. Okay, so here we are with a close-up of the cake. You can see this gorgeous illustration here. And you can see up here, 1000 Ancient Arbor, Bada, Ripe, Spring 2010. So 1000 Ancient Arbor represents the age of the tea trees, and then Bada is the area, the fact that this is a ripe tea, not a raw, and is from Spring 2010. Okay, so I've already opened this and started using it. Couldn't resist, but here you go. Here's the cake. Look at that color. Look at that. That's something special. Okay, so this is really, I mean, you know, the clumps of leaf here are amazing. It's really well fermented. It reminds me of when they produce loose ripe pu'erh. You get these lovely little clumps of tea called the tea crowns or the tea heads, which represent the highest quality leaves in the Ripe PuErh collection. Okay, so lovely color, beautiful dark, nice and glossy. So you can see that it's really the oils have been lifted onto the surface of this tea. So beautiful glossy surface. It's a quite loose cake, so I can quite easily pull some of these tea leaves off without breaking too much. So again, you can see here, beautiful. It's not got a lot of bud, so you're going to hardly see any bud here, but you can see second and third leaves, but very, very, very well produced tea, nicely ripened, and I'm very much looking forward to tasting this tea. So we're going to brew this now, and we're going to have a taste. Okay, so I've put 7 grams of the tea into 150 ml Gaiwan. So quite a lot. I want to taste this tea. I really want to get the most out of it, and I plan to sit here and have many infusions, so we're not going to waste this tea. But already I've given the tea a rinse, and already it's starting to reveal some very nice notes. Really interesting. So none of the kind of horrible kind of dried squid or marine seaweedy kind of smells that come from badly ripened pu'erh. This smells like leather. It smells like wet wood. So it's got a really lovely starting nose. So let's give it a quick flash brew. I'm brewing with just boiled water. So again, I plan to sit here for a while and drink lots of infusions. So I'm just going to go through the first infusion with you, and then I will sit alone and have many infusions. Yeah, so you get this nice kind of leathery smell. You get earthiness, obviously, as you'd expect, but slightly woody notes, and slightly medicinal notes as well, kind of Chinese herbal medicinal, like red date and ginseng and things like that. Really quite rich, lots going on there. Let's take a look at the brew. Okay, so nice and dark as you'd expect. Kind of like a very fortified wine or dark brandy kind of color. Let's have a taste. the texture is nice and thick at the beginning, but then goes very nice and clean and quite quenching. So it has a very smooth mouthfeel, but the finish is very nice and brisk and cleansing, which is why this kind of tea is so nice if you pair it with rich foods, because it just cuts through the fat. It allows you to cleanse the palate really well. In terms of flavors, I do get some of those medicinal notes. I get kind of wet fruit wood, like apple wood, those kind of quite fresh, wet, freshly cut apple wood. I get the really characteristic large cavernous kind of wet cave. Those are the notes that I get off the smell as well. So lots going on. I'm going to sit now, have a few infusions, and we'll come back and see how I feel and my thoughts on tasting. Okay guys, we're back, and I am 12 infusions in on this tea, and the age of the tea tree is really, really shining through. I mean, it just keeps on giving, this tea. It just won't stop. And it's wonderful how the flavor has changed from infusion 1 to where we are at now, infusion 12. So it started off with a lot of that woody, earthy, wet cave flavor profiles, with a kind of leather, almost varnishy kind of start. Leather, freshly varnished leather, that kind of flavor profile. Certainly nothing roasted or tobacco-y at all. It's very earthy, wet cave, and a very nice clean finish. And then it starts to move into a little bit more of a simple mineral sweetness. So it kind of lulls a little bit. You get this simple mineral sweetness, lovely, just wet cave and sweetness. And then what starts to come in is the fruitier notes of kind of Chinese herbs, and fruity notes like prunes, but quite dried prunes, or slightly heated, roasted prunes. So you get a slight bitterness, but this lovely, overwhelming sweetness as the minerals start to coat your tongue and your throat. The age of these tea trees means that it's really mineral rich. So there's a lot of sweetness. There's a lot of lingering feeling and flavor from the throat. It's a really delicious coating tea. It's going to be a great digestive, like really good after a heavy meal, because I can feel how lovely and quenching and brisk it is, but then you get this lovely rounded sweetness. I also noticed the age of the tea tree because it's starting to give me this, after about infusion 6 or 7, I started to feel a tingling sensation all over my tongue, like a very light tingling sensation, similar to if you've ever had Sichuanese Chinese food and you bite a Sichuan peppercorn, you get that little kind of battery acid tingle that's going on around the tongue, and that's usually a sign of age, because of the age of the tea trees, because it means that the tea leaves are full of minerals. In terms of the feeling, really nice, settled feeling. It's not an energetic drink. Lovely, settled, balanced. It's kind of very down energy. It feels like it's kind of centered me. Some teas get you very hyper. This one is definitely something to relax into and enjoy, really balancing tea. And the empty cup, the smell of the empty cup, again, another sign of how mineral rich the leaves are if it coats the empty cup. And the smell of the empty cup smells exactly like a kind of brandy smell. Really, really nice, really gorgeous tea. That's Sacred Owl. I do hope that you are able to pick a K-cup if you're interested. We have a limited amount in stock, and part of our elite tea collection, and something to definitely get your hands on in terms of the rarity of using such old leaves for a ripe tea. Okay, that's it, tea heads. If you made it to the end of this video, then please give the video the thumbs up. Check out our playlists and let us know if there are any videos you would like us to make. If you're ever in London, come and visit us in Camden to say hi and taste our wares. If you have any questions or comments, then fire them over. Other than that, I'm Don May from Mayleaf. Thank you for being a part of the revelation of true tea. Stay away from the tea bags, keep drinking the good stuff, and spread the word, because nobody deserves bad tea. Bye.